All right, so today we're going to be doing something pretty different that we've never done before in our church, and that's why we've got 4 amazing people from our church up on stage. Why don't you give them a round of applause? I know they're a little bit nervous, so make sure you're smiling throughout this whole interview because they're really quite shy and modest people. And the reason they're here today is because if you don't know, the 4 of them on stage, right, are people in our church who have kind of started on certain ventures, projects, businesses that are pretty amazing. And I thought that would be great for you to hear what your friends have been up to this past 1-2 years. Is that okay? And I'm going to use this conversation today to draw out some important principles and points that I want to bring across with regards to how we go about fulfilling our calling in life and how we go about serving God with our careers in the workplace or whatever that we are setting out to do. Is that all right? And then after that, I'm going to give you just a very, very short word and just really, actually not even a word, but a thought that I have on my mind with regards to our church. Is that okay? So you turn to the neighbor next to you, people back home too. If you're sitting next to someone, turn to them, say, I'm so excited to be here with you. And today I'm decked out in their stuff, sponsored by, no, not sponsored, I paid for everything that I'm wearing, okay? So from these 2 amazing people, okay, so let's just, and they're going to tell you about it in a moment, so let's just start off, guys. I want you to just go around, 4 of you, and tell our peeps here in church, right, about your business or venture, and tell us briefly, like, when did you start and what is it about?
Yes. PC, we are trying not to cringe. Wow.
Try not to cringe.
About ourselves. But yes, my so basically Earthouse.
Yes.
Is something, it's quite recent, I would say, like start of February this year.
Mm-hmm.
So selling stuff like now mainly is tie-dye apparels. So I also do some of like reworked apparels.
Yeah, which
Yep.
I own a few pieces of. I own a lot of your socks.
Oh my gosh.
Ding. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, Shengli, tell us about your venture.
Yeah. So I started doing Instagram online shop called Vintage Kye, and and I started in January 2020 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Why did you start?
actually I initially wanted to create my own clothing line to wear something that like represents God in some way, but I realized I was broke.
No capital to start.
Yeah, and after doing up like 2 samples, I was broke. So I decided to look into earning money. Yeah, so and that's when I got into like vintage clothing, and I decided that, hey, this is a good way to earn money, and like I can like wear some new clothes at the same time.
Create capital. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so I think Sherwin, right, you guys already know he has a dinner business. We've heard about it over and over again, but just refresh your memory. Tell them when you started, what it's about, how it, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm Sherwin, for those who don't know me. But yeah, I started this Instagram account. It's actually a full account first in early May 2018. It's called Saison the V, and it slowly evolved into a platform to host dinner parties in late October 2018. Yeah, so cool.
And then we
Okay,
have
hi.
Halena.
Halena, I'm currently teaching in a primary school, and currently right now there's one set of books that are on a publishing halt right now, so I'm working on another set of books.
Yeah.
Writing a few books, yeah.
So the first set is called?
First set is called The 8 Habits of a Happy SG Kid. Yeah. And the second set is just a series of books actually based on my family members. The quirky side of them.
That's the danger of being a writer. Everyone is fair game. Yeah. Okay. So let's get going, right? So tell us one by one, right? What was it that actually got you started on like deciding to start a business or create a side project, side hustle besides your day job? Maybe you can start with Zui.
Yeah, PC, I think I've always been interested in fashion. So like this is something that I'm thinking about. And I was just, I'm kind of like I kind of like to keep up with trends. So like I was kind of like, know that the like Nike crew, like tie-dye is gonna be in Singapore kind of thing. So that I thought that I wanted to try it. And my family, my dad and my older brother are people that are actually like very supportive. Like keep asking me to like
Yeah, because your dad is a businessman himself, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So actually, but initially you didn't want to start, right? You were dragging out for very long, right? Why was that?
Oh, actually, I think I was like quite like like just like didn't dare to start, and I always had this thought like even if I start, it's like kind of gonna fail, and it's like I don't know why, but it's gonna like just not work out. Even if it works out, it's not gonna be me. I don't know why that mindset was like
Yeah, so actually for her, right, we had to do a lot of encouraging. Me and Caris had like I remember we had one conversation, right, where we had to sit down and talk like, hey, why aren't you getting started on something? Because she's being modest when she says she's on top of trends. This girl is usually ahead of the trend. Okay, so that's really where she's coming from. She comes from a business family. She helps her family manage accounts on top of school and stuff sometimes. She helped her dad manage his durian business on social
accounts.
media. Yeah, so she does actually have all these skill sets, right? They are primed and ready to start a business, and she has a family to kind of give her input on like what to change up and how to do better. So it's very surprising to us why she didn't start, and we took a lot of encouraging to get her going lah. Yeah, okay. So another interesting one. So Sherwin, why don't you share them how you started actually? Because you also had a lot of resistance to starting, right?
Yeah. I think how I started was okay. So in me, I always have this like conflict of being like a chef / artist or someone living for God. So this like conflict in me always like bothers me. And this was until like PC sent some of us, some people from the team to go to KL conference, and we listened to Erwin McManus speak. And in his message, he talked about being unique for God, and that really spoke out to me. Like the conflict actually didn't make sense, and I felt like I wanted to do something about it to reconcile this like conflict that I have. Yeah, and so that's why I say, okay, I'm gonna take this and turn it into something nice as a form of like worship and expression of love towards God. Yeah, yeah.
Oh God, the guys here are so spiritual. I'm just like, I want to start a business so I can make money. Yeah, but it's interesting, right? Because all of you started with some sort of resistance in terms of like whether it was mindsets or fear, right? Of actually stepping out and doing your calling. So I was just wondering, right? Where do you think those things come from? And how important is it to be aware of it and to kind of take actions and steps to kind of overcome it? Yeah, not in the script, so. They're also I told them I'm going to throw you off today. So what do you think?
We're all like, oh no. Oh my gosh.
I think a part of it is, for me is I would tell a lot of people so that when they see me, they will be like, hey, so how is it going?
And then you have
And
no
then I'll feel
choice but
stressed like, oh, I need to get it going to make some progress so I can tell them about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my
I feel
way,
like that doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I'll be too like scared.
Makes you even worse?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just like forcefully starting something because like I told someone about it. Yeah.
Okay, so for you, it's like you have to kind of start it and see.
Yeah.
Which you kind of
And
did,
just
right?
do
You
it.
went silent and quiet after me
Yeah.
and Caris talked to you, and then suddenly like we see like Earthouse popping up. And we're like, oh, she started. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Sherwin, what about you?
I think usually the knots and the confusion come from myself, and like, okay, is this really the thing that I have to go to? Is this what really like what I'm supposed to do in life? That kind of thing. But for me, it's like having friends around me telling me that you're in the right path and you're doing good and you can do it. And yeah, so I feel a part of it is the reminder from them, like them physically, like verbally telling me that okay, you can do it. But a lot of times also is a gratitude. Like I have to be grateful for all these people, and like out of that gratitude, I want to do something great with what I have and not have this like conflict hinder my what I'm truly capable of. Yeah.
And it still reoccurs, right? These fears and stuff.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
almost the same exact mindset keeps coming back up, and you need to work through the same things over again to overcome it and step out. So let's jump to Helena for a second, right? Because Helena's journey and process is really interesting. If there's one woman in church, I'll say, right, I think is like the best example of resilience in life. It's this girl over here. Okay, so Hel, why don't you tell them about your venture and tell them how you got there, actually, because your journey is very interesting, right? How you came up with the idea is very interesting.
Sorry. This visor. Okay. Actually, it started in 2017. I think because I'm kind of delayed in life in the sense that I started work later than most of my colleagues, and I graduated later than most of my colleagues. So I think when I went into the workforce, I started to compare myself. It's kind of common to compare yourself and realize that your capacity can be more. And I felt that very dissatisfied in life, financially also. Yeah, so I think that dissatisfaction is what made me want to start something. And I think also in 2017, like PC, during RF series back then, hearing about how you had to take pay cut again, Chensi had to take pay cut again, and there's so many sacrifices, and I was kind of asking myself, like, I mean, how long more? How long more is this going to happen? How long more, do we have to do that again and again and again? And I think that dissatisfaction really made me want to see financial independence in myself, have enough money, more than my salary, so that I can give to church, and to be rich enough to give. Because I think I got kind of like, I reached a point of being fed up. Yeah. Yeah, I'm being fed up with the current situation and how it was. Yeah. Yes.
So then what happened was you started praying, right? Asking God for ideas, right? Because let me tell you this, if there's one person, she's not just fed up for herself, right? But she's also fed up for church. In terms of like, why are we always so tight? Why are we always having to have the leaders sacrifice their pay in order to keep running church? And so, she's the first proponent right now. Every time I go, we talk about finances, like, Pastor, we need to make more money so that our church is like self-sufficient and stuff like that. Yeah. So really out of this, right, she started praying. So why don't you tell them what happened next?
Yeah, because, so I started praying for an idea that would be self-sustainable, that would generate a sustained income. Yeah, I didn't want to, because I feel like I might venture into different other things. So I wanted an idea that would be sustaining, have a self-income, and that will always have enough to give, and I never need to worry. So I prayed for an idea, and then God kind of like, and me together, we kind of like, I kind of like was wondering what my strength was, and it was in writing. So I decided, okay, I'll just start writing. So then after that, I used what I've experienced before when I was serving in RNCSA, in Revival Nation Community Service Association, and how when I was serving there, PC, you gave me a book called The Leader in You, and I read that. And when I started teaching, I actually used the 7 habits from highly effective people, the 7 habits of happy kids, used that in my class. And after a few years, I thought, why don't we create a localized version? Yeah, because the Western version was talking about baseball, raking leaves. They have no context, you know what I mean? Context is so out there, so Western. So I thought, why not create a localized version, something that is, and with local characters, diverse characters. So even one of the characters has a bit of special need, because there are more special children with special needs coming to school. So something that we can all learn together and enjoy, learning together with our differences.
Yeah, and I think that's what I love about your book. Because if you don't know this, right, calling doesn't just show up in an instant, right? There's always certain inclinations we have. And right from the get-go, before we were a church, Halena was already very sold out for humanitarian work, especially among children and women. And so this really was an intersection. And then on top of that, she brought in, because her school is one of the schools that take care of special needs kids in school. And so she started to bring that element to the books and to teach other kids how to be more accepting of kids with special needs in class. So it's really been quite amazing. And I remember, right, there was one midnight conversation. So this is very funny. We went to support my friend who's a DJ. So we went to, I don't know, this weird club that was super tiny and it was so loud. We were like, can't hear you. And then we were there till like past midnight or 2 a.m. or something like that, right? And then we ended up at Lau Pa Sat eating supper. And if you know, we're quite old already, me, Ting Ting, and her. And so we're not like the late night YOLO people anymore, right? And we're not talking till what, 4 a.m.?
So, yeah.
4 a.m. because she suddenly burst out and told us about this idea she had about writing a book. And then subsequently, she told the CG about it and everyone started messaging her, helping her out. Sue would like say, I have contacts of this. Would you like to talk to them? So it's really been quite an amazing journey just from the idea of wanting to meet a need and to be independent. I think it's quite cool, right? So there are a couple of principles I want to draw out before we go on with more of what they have to share. Is that all right? And that is I want to share with you, right? Calling, a lot of times we think about this in this very airy, fairy way. Or is this holy, high calling from God? Yes, but I do believe calling encompasses being both successful and significant in life, okay? So if any of you here are ever thinking about starting a venture, and I know a lot of Gen Z, you have these ideas to start small micro businesses to kind of self-sustain yourself, right? I think that's amazing. I wish I was like you when I was growing up your age. But I do think it's so important that whatever venture you embark on, you must understand calling must solve a problem, or meet a need, or fill a gap. Because that is the whole point of how you start a business of being successful. It is to solve a problem, meet a need, or fill a gap. But the second thing I want to say is this, right? Calling always tends to come from the community because, again, you're meeting a need in the community, and it also tends to feed back into the community. And that's what is the difference between just merely being successful and making money in life versus being significant and making an impact even while you make money. Okay, yeah, and so I want to move on to talk about this, right? And I want you guys to be more specific right now. Is how important has community been for you in propelling you to embark on this journey? Yes. Go ahead. Anyone can go first.
Okay. Hello. Yes, I think for me, I think it's something that is like the anchor, kind of when I'm doing this. I think I think of whether this is bringing it back to the community. So specifically, I think the first thing is whenever I'm doing this, I'm thinking, am I giving effort for everything that I'm doing? Whether is it in loving people, example EV with the youth, and this business thing, and then worship leading, everything. Am I giving it all the same? And it's not I'm giving extra more effort or anything else, but I'm giving the same effort to everything because this is because I want to be a great example to people, to youth in church. It's not I just want to do this because I want to be successful, but then it's because I want to be creative, but at the same time I can still love God, I can still worship, I can still serve fully. And another thing is, I remember Pastor, you shared with us before about how there are people that came before us and they sacrifice and they some of them even give up their dreams. That's why a lot of us here can do what we want or try or achieve these dreams.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, because if you don't know, Ziyu leads worship, but she also leads a youth CG. She's also in the PR team. Yeah, she's just really doing a lot of stuff in church on top of her business right now, which is really amazing. So those in her CG, you should be very proud of your leader. Okay, the rest of you? Anyone else?
I think for me, the community is really important. Not just in church, but the friends around you that you that I interact with for my workplace. Because I feel personally I've learned a lot from the people around me, and also they are always the ones who anchor you and push you forward when you are scared to do stuff. So if I remember one of my friends in work that I got to know at work, he was the main reason why I kept going and kept pushing through, even though there were bad sales day or there wasn't anything that was selling. And he was also the one that to push me to do pop-up, which I was really scared of because I didn't know how it worked or anything about it. But he just told me just try, there's no harm in trying. Which from then that I asked other people in church, and everyone just encouraged me. So I feel community really is really like important for me when I make like bigger decisions.
Because you have some great friends in the what do you call it, vintage clothing community.
Vintage.
Like really,
like that,
right? They
yeah.
are really good friends. You've
Yeah.
been really surprised by how nice and wonderful they are. That it's not just this cutthroat competition thing,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's been instrumental in making sure you also kind of don't get sucked into a very, I don't know, unchristian secular
Yeah.
kind of mindset about business, right?
Yeah.
So that's really great. Sherwin, Halena?
Helen, you want to go first?
Okay, thank you. I think for me, yeah, definitely community is very important. I think that, I feel very blessed to be here. I think to have such a caring CG and, even like when through ups and downs, when my hard disk crashed and then, Regina would tell me, don't worry, the hard disk is in you. And I was like, yes, I'm going to rewrite again. so it's like even think like so many of them, like they would encourage me. They would Ting constantly ask me, and then they would pray for me. Even church prayed for me. So I feel that that spurred me on. I think that's what kind of linked up with like your previous sermon on hope. Like when you have a positive environment and a positive community, you do have the hope despite what ups and downs you have. And if you have ups, you celebrate together. Your downs, it's okay. You just find out what's the next best thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Cool. Sherwin?
Yeah, community is super important in my opinion. Like I think it is important in like multiple layers. Cause firstly, my venture was inspired by the relationship with God and God's family, which is our church. Yay! And I think that is the main reason why I do what I did what I do in the first place. And if I don't have that, I think it's meaningless in a certain way. But slowly along the way, I decided to change my business and pivot it to want to do it for RF instead, to try and get more money for RF, and that became my focus. And to give back to this community with what I can do is something I find is a very strong reason for me. And I need that. If not, it's pointless at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, this must okay, I'm sorry about it. But another thing about community is that I think personally for me, like I would tend to always sip into the doubt or sit back into doubt, or like always I'll just be very doubtful myself. But I have like great friends in here who always like encourage me and say, okay, you got this, and they always tell me that you're in the right direction. And Pastor always also encourage me to say that, you know what, you can do it and you can push through. And I think that really helped me remind myself and give me like more things to be grateful about, to be resilient about it and want to push through in that sense. Yeah, so I think community in churches, community here is so important, but community and relationship outside is very important as well in whichever craft that we are in. And for myself, it's my relationship with my Papa Chef, my mentor. And yeah, like he doesn't really guide me in terms of like technical skills, but he will tell me in the direction that I'm going. And there's one thing that he'll always say when he stops the conversation. He'll say, "Young chef, remember that you are young and you are great and you are a young man. Try everything that you can, but always, if you need me, I'll be there for you. And you are a great human being already." And I think that's the kind of people that I resonate with, and he has been the one who is guiding me since 2017 after I left France until now. He's still talking to me and stuff like that. So he's really a gem that I really love. So yeah.
Oh my god, now I want to meet him. He sounds like something out of Kung Fu Panda. Oh my gosh. No, but I do want to stress that, right? A lot of times people think when we encourage people to have a calling, that automatically mean all you do is serve in church and make friends in church. But the fact of the matter is our church is very much about transcending walls. When we talk about creativity, we talk about going past our walls, we talk about being seamless with the world. And I think being able to succeed in the world means that you also make connections outside of the world. It's not just with regards to EV, but with regards to, the common thread with the four of you that has made you successful, I have to say, right, is because I've noticed you have very good connections outside of church. People with great values, people who are driven, people who know their stuff. People who open doors for you, and a mentor who really knows how to mentor. Because people sometimes think, I need to find someone with just matching skills. No, if you're a great artist, you don't really need someone necessarily with skill. You need someone who knows how to mentor your soul to get you on track with where you need to go sometimes. So I think that has been very important. And I will say this even in church, it's not just connection here, but I think environment makes a huge difference. Because one of the things you were saying too, right, is that last year, one of the major things that got you through is we kept talking about self-awareness. We kept talking about mindfulness, thoughtfulness. And I think that's been very instrumental to you guys processing what are my fears? What are the things holding me back? Or even last week, we talked about confronting the brutal facts. Like, where am I not? And who am I not? And what do I need to do in order to get where I need to go? Because sometimes I think what happens in church is Christians just go, I have a calling. A miracle will drop from heaven and it will just happen. No, because really why I'm putting these four on stage today is because to show you that calling takes a lot of hard work. Calling takes a lot of resilience. Calling takes partnering with God and with people to make something in your future happen. Yeah, and I think you guys are doing a great job with regards to that, okay? So let me just skip over to another point, which is I want to know how have God's values in your life influenced and benefited you in how you go about fulfilling your callings?
I can go first. Also, I think for me is like for business wise, like there are a lot of people who would like be unethical, I guess, in selling and like in doing sales. But I think like when I started out actually, my main goal was actually to make money. But I remember there was once we went like when we went to the Chiang Mai trip, and then we learned about like how like sustainability in a way, and we heard from someone about like how kids in village like didn't have like clothes to wear. And
Oh yeah, that's right. We
Yeah.
had a talk with Buddhist, the head of like justice work at the temple there, right?
Yeah,
we
PC.
went to meet a monk at a temple and decided to have a conversation with
Yeah.
him and find out about his beliefs. And then he turned out to be the social justice guy.
Yeah, PC.
And he was talking about sustainability and how kids are so poor that they don't even have opportunity. Okay, cool. Yeah, tell them.
Yeah. So do I tell them about
Yeah,
what he
go
said?
ahead. Whatever you want to say.
Yeah, but it was to summarize like that during that trip I realized that actually like what I'm doing isn't just like it's not only like benefiting me that I can make money, but it's somehow benefiting the earth where I'm promoting sustainable clothes, and what is that? I am promoting sustainable clothes to other people, and myself, during that trip I made a decision that like I'm not gonna buy any more fast fashion and I'm gonna keep going at it because it is something that helps the earth. And I find it really funny because like I didn't go into the business with a like mentality of like, oh, I want to save the earth, but somehow God redirects me to like make money and as well do something about justice. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I have been very proud of you, because his personality is he's very choleric. Like he's very profit oriented, and that's fine because that's his personality. He likes to make money. Yeah, and that's great. Make more money. Then tithe more also. But I think the great thing is you do see how God keeps pulling him back to the right values in the way he deals with people. I'm so glad that trip we had that conversation with that monk, because it really inspired all of us to remember that sometimes when you become ambitious, you start to become fixated on the profit, and you start to forget why you chose to be ambitious in the first place, which is to give back and to help other people who don't have opportunities. And I think the great thing about him is he's always been very willing to learn and to be taught that he's going a little bit off track, or his values need to come back and be centered. And it's even influenced like how you deal with suppliers, right? To deal with them in a ethical way instead of just trying to drain them for profit. Why don't you tell them a little bit about that?
So basically, I heard from a few friends of mine that a like when I first started, like because we get supplies from like other countries, and the other countries may not be like very developed countries. So, like some of my supplier, their main source of income is basically supplying clothes to me and supplying clothes to like some of my other friends. So, one of my friends told me actually, hey, your suppliers, right? They charge you that amount, right? You can bargain with them, right? You can like bring the cost lower and you can earn more. So that was his like the first thing he said to me when like he came to giving advice. But so I just took it to heart. But after that, I began to like look for suppliers and I talked to them and I began to make friends with a lot of them. And actually, I found out about how like the situation was in their families. And because COVID happened, a lot of my suppliers they actually are really like they cannot go out and they cannot make money. They cannot go and like find the supply. So that really like shocked me about how like actually like what I do doesn't just like shouldn't just benefit me. Like the profit shouldn't just like go to me, but if I want to be humane, if I want to be ethical, and like if I want to like be a good human, I guess, and I need to like think about them and not just about me. Yeah, and from that I learned to like have empathy about like for like other people, and I recentered my like my value system, I guess, to not just be about profit, but is to like take care of everyone around the community, not just the suppliers, but also like the customers and even my friends in the community.
And it's turned out to be for your benefit, right? Because now what you found is a lot of your suppliers instead have a relationship with you based on loyalty and
Yeah.
not just profit margins,
Yeah,
right? And
PZ.
so that's turned out to be for your benefit.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, I do think, I don't think profit at all costs is a good value system to live by. I do think God's value system pays off in its own way. I'm sure there'll be sometimes other people make bigger profit than you, but at least you can sleep better at night lah.
Yeah, PC.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
okay,
true.
so let's go to the other three, right? Tell me about how important community has been for you if you feel like you've got something good to share with everybody. Or God's values, sorry. God's values. Yeah.
I think actually I'm also kind of like Shenli's one. Like creation care is something that's like on my mind, right? But then like what I'm doing, I feel that like I feel conflict. Cause I think it's okay because it's like unique and I don't bring a lot of stock. So it's not like I really like yeah.
Mass
But then I
release.
still feel like a conflict. So I think for me it's trying to find like how I can earn more profit, but at the same time still like care for the earth. But then I'm still figuring that out. I haven't really like yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, for you, very interesting because that
Yeah.
has always been your thing, right?
Yeah.
Even before the business. Two of you?
For me, I feel the value that kept me going was definitely to keep like praying and worship because I feel that this idea about the 8 habits of a happy kid it's not just me, you know what I mean? I feel like the ideas it's like a partnership that I have with God. Yeah, and I felt that if I am putting my effort in and putting my dedication in, then I know that whatever I'm working out with God or whatever ideas that I have, it will be clearer. It would be when I write it, there will not be so much writer's block. I feel.
Interesting.
Yeah, because sometimes you're trying to churn it out on your own effort. But I feel that some part it is effort, some part it is hearing from God. So I feel that it helped me have a closer relationship and prayer life as well. Yeah. So
Interesting. Different way of it. Okay.
yeah. It's not just like a father-child relationship. Like I feel like I'm willing to work, and I believe that God is also willing to work alongside.
Yeah.
So I feel that he has kind of progressed towards that. Yeah.
A more mature relationship with God. Cool. Yeah. Sherwin? Last words?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think for me it was a little similar like Helena, but also I think the word that I resonate a lot throughout this whole period in this venture is integrity. I think integrity in a few areas, like some days the venture can be really hard, and there's so many things that can happen behind the curtains before the actual day of the event. But I always have to pray to God, talk to God, and ask God, is my attitude correct? Am I giving my 100%? And even in the physical presentation of or execution of the whole the event, I would ask myself, in this moment, is this my best, or am I giving to people my 100% or my 110%? And I feel that it's really important, and to work out this like partnership with God, and to always pray better God and say, God, I'm here to work it out with you, and I want to give you my best, not some like substandard kind of thing, and that is my kind of integrity. And I think in the whole execution of it as well, like because I was mentioning that the inspiration of the different kind of food was from my relationship with God, and what I say on the platform has to be definitely real. I think a lot of chefs, like, they like to tell about their dishes, or like, oh, this and that and that. But then for me, it's like, if it's not real, I'm not going to put it out there. And that's what people say after the dinner, is like they feel that it wasn't just about the food, but the experience was wholesome, and there was something different. That's because it's real, and they felt it. So I guess integrity is the thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, right? Because, okay, so we're talking about very spiritual values, right? But the one thing I am, again, very proud of them is they're not those Christians that go out into the secular world, everything is God. God spoke to me about this business. God made me create this dish. Like, I feel like Christians like that, the fact that you have to like use God's name to legitimize your business, then I really doubt whether you're very excellent. Sometimes, right, we always try to meet like Christian contractors or stuff like that, and they go like, yeah, we are Christian, give chance, that kind of thing. I'm like, no, you be excellent. Don't tell me to give you chance because you are Christian. And it drives me nuts. And what I love about these guys is they are excellent in the world, but they don't feel the need to misuse God's name and say, in the name of God, and God said this to me, and therefore it's better or it's good. They're just very real, like, no, it's not good means it's not good. Yeah, and I do want to encourage you guys, right, please, with your calling, don't misuse God's name. Don't go, God said to me. And you heard from them, God did speak to them, and God has been involved in the process, but they're very real but we're also in partnership with God, and we've got a part to play in working out this calling. Amen? Yeah, so let's get to some meat of the stuff, okay, and get real with life. So tell me, right, let's go into brutal honesty, okay? Tell me what it's been like, what your life's like, having to do these side hustles in your life while you're doing your main careers and your main life and all that kind of stuff. What's your schedule like? What is it like hustling to make these things happen? Are you more busy than other people? Do you have less time? What's it like? Tell everybody.
I go. Oh, Halena, you want to go?
Sure.
Okay. I can go first. Yeah. So actually, I've been doing this venture while in army, and my army schedule is not like the usual army schedule. It's a shift work. So I do 24 hours of work, and I come out the next day. Sometimes I get 1 day out. Some days I get 2 days out. But throughout the whole period where I was doing Saison the V or like being in church, I have 1 day out most of the time, and I go back camp the next day for another 24 hours. So it's crazy. It's like a zombie schedule. Yeah. And how I spend my time outside is okay. So I'll have 1 week of execution of dinner parties and stuff like that. But the days leading up to it has been filled with like experimentation and stuff like that. So within that 24 hours that I'm out, I'll be running from places to places, suppliers to suppliers, to source out the best stuff and seeing what things that I can do. And there's a lot of research put into and time like involved in that whole 24 hours that I have outside. And normally they give you 24 hours or 48 hours to rest outside because your body is broken after that 24 hours in camp. But I think it was a good stretch that, and I used that my time outside like that. In that way. And I think along the way also during that time I was just starting to be a worship leader in training, and also being more involved with like hospi and GR. So yeah, and
yeah, thanks. Now everyone is hungry and not paying attention.
So yeah, I had to aside from having research and thinking about just the venture alone, I feel that it's important to be 100% or let's just say 200% present for the team and to be in church and to just shred everything all at once. And it's good. I love it. It's like work, hustle. Yeah.
How addicted are you to coffee now?
Okay. I've managed to reduce to 2 to 3 cups a day, but I used to take like 4 cups during this period. 4 cups, yeah.
Okay.
4 big cups.
So okay, I'm not advocating that you're always this tired, but it is hard work, okay? Helena, what were you? Why don't you tell them how labor intensive your research, your making connections, your rewriting has been?
Actually, it's been a few years. A lot of people think that it's like maybe in 1 year or like a few months. It's been a few years since like 2018. I've been doing research. I researched on the original 7 Habits of a Happy Kid, and then I've attended book festivals. I attended writing workshops. I talked to publishers, even talked to my cousin who was in publishing, my mom who was in preschool, finding out what the trend is, what the gap was. Even like CG mates also had contacts. Emailing them, and so on. So you gotta research. Yeah, for me it was research and being very intentional to make sure that the localized version actually met the intention of the original version. Because I also had to research on copyright. I'm like really not good with this kind of things, like legal copyright.
But
all
you
those.
had to.
I had to kind of research and make sure that I'm not like getting myself into trouble. And a lot of people tell me, must make sure you get a lawyer, or okay. Okay. So then I would write again on my hard disk ball, rewrite again, produce everything again. Then when I finally showed the copy to my principal, she said it was good. And then after that, this beginning of this year, she was like, we have an idea. We're gonna take your thing, right? Let's turn it into an activity book and make sure that the child is, the pupil in the classroom is a part of the story. So it's not just a simple story, but it's creating a story/activity book. And I had to change up everything. Yeah, research a lot.
Workshop it, try it out.
Yeah, with the illustrations and everything. And then, but my principal is really good. She opened the opportunity for me, so I was able to try out habit 1, the first habit within the primary 1 and primary 2 children across the school. Yeah, and over a period of 4 weeks. And then I would get feedback from teachers and then improve on it, find out how the kids felt about it, and they really liked it. So I think that was good feedback. Yeah, and it's just every day 30 minutes, just working on it, improving it, changing it. Even during June holidays. Yeah, the recent June holidays during CB period, like, my friends are like chilling at home, doing what? And every day I would make sure I spend about 5-6 hours just working on it, researching, doing on it. Yeah. So that's the thing it takes.
Yeah, because people think it's just like that, right? Publishing and writing, but it's totally not. So let's talk then about rejection and setbacks, right? Why don't you share with them some moments where you face like major setbacks or rejections that really got to your heart and really discouraged you and really like made you question yourself?
Yes. Hello? PC, I think for me, the setbacks are usually like the most common is like bad sales day. Which I think one of the ones that hit the hardest is like how like I went from like the previous pop-ups like a few K to like $100 for like that pop-up, which was quite demoralizing. But like I was just then after that I thought about it, I was being real with it. Then I realized like I was just lazy.
Well done, you.
Lazy with the marketing and everything. So I think for that is like very practical things that I have to work on. Yeah. And the other like setbacks are maybe like with the suppliers, with customers, with mailing, and
bad stock coming in.
Bad stock coming in. Like they give me stuff with like holes and stains and like really like stuff that shouldn't be sold.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the most the biggest setback was like COVID, because me and my friends, we actually wanted to start a new physical store in April, but like during March they closed down the whole, like it was circuit breaker, so all our plans like went down the drain. And one of my friends actually because of the circuit breaker he just disappeared, and like from that like it was quite rough.
Your partner disappeared.
We
Okay.
sort of went into depression and stuff like that. So until now it's still like uncontactable from like all of us, which was really sad because he was one of the like person that inspired me the most. Yeah.
Understand. Okay. Cool. Ziyu?
Yeah, I think small one. I think it's like one. I had like a one custom because I do customs, right? So whatever you come, I can make it happen for you. That's what I try to market it as. So there's this customer, right? Like wanted a custom, but then he keep telling me that it's good, then everything. Then he after at the next moment he's like very bad. Like he said it's very bad. And then he would like type very long stuff. That kind of thing. So I was like quite discouraged because I think I tend to take it like a bit personal or something. So I was like quite discouraged. But then after that, I think the lesson that I learned from it is just to like really have a proper set of like system and rules that they cannot, like the customer cannot like go back against it, that kind.
Yeah. No, because I think for you, right, she's a very excellent person, okay? That means she's really always going to try to give you the best product possible. But seriously, custom work, like, it's custom work. Like, you're hiring the artist for the artist, you know what I mean? Like, you can't dictate, like, where the pink flows and where, I don't know, like, you know, like, but some people are, like, just very irritating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think, and for you, that's been the struggle, right? The whole thing of being able to say no to people and enforce boundaries and have some healthy self-esteem. Yeah, but I can imagine being an artist, someone that's like your direct work.
Yeah.
Yeah, Halena, what about you?
Sorry. For me, I think it was definitely rejection. I went to like a certain publishing house, and then they say they can't do it unless I meet a minimum quota. So that's when I went to my principal who helped me. And even after contacting one of the MOE branches, they came down, they actually went around the classes to observe. And then they came down to the principal's office, and then we discussed. And then they said, oh, actually, we can't afford the periods for your curriculum because we have our own set. But I can just guide you along to what's okay and what's not okay. So to me, okay lah. So even then, after I sent her after working on June holidays, and I sent her the whole package, you know, it was kind of like hands off. Yeah, and then I decided, okay, maybe I'll try the preschool division, and I even printed out all the 8 habits, you know, physical, went down to post office, sealed it up, and then sent 2 sets of it, but still no response.
Roughly how many publishers or people have you tried to contact to get your work published?
About like 4 or 5.
4 or 5? Right,
Yeah.
okay. Now, I know you're thinking, 4 or 5 only. No, that like Singapore doesn't really have a lot of very like curriculum-based publishers. Yeah, and then having to face rejection over and over again, multiple conversations, and seems hopeful, then it's backwards again, right? It's been very frustrating.
And I think COVID had a point because like no manpower, no cost to invest.
Correct. So that's one of the reasons why your curriculum's been held up. But then in the meanwhile, again, Miss Resilience, that's when you decided to write your new set of series, right? And one of them is called Bully Goat. Bully Goat, which is about your older brother. Yeah.
No, because it's like because one of the sermons, you know, that Dr. Joe shared, and then he talked about like this goat who was a bully, and I thought like, wow, that's a very interesting idea. Maybe I'll write a story about this bully goat, and it's like a reflection of one family member. So I thought like, okay, let's just write a story about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it ends well.
It ends well.
Bully goat turns out to be a nice goat.
Yeah, bully goat became a buddy goat. So okay lah, a bit funny lah. Then I decided to write one more story about my sister, and then one more about my brother, and then something like that. So it's quite funny. Yeah.
But the parents are off limits, right?
The parents are what?
Your parents are off limits.
Oh,
currently.
cannot.
Okay, so just a very quick question, right? And maybe one or two of you can answer, right? How often do your plans fall through and need to be changed?
Oh, I feel like it's constant change. To me, it's constant change, and I think you need to kind of like know how far you can change. Like for me, like I think I understand what you mean. Like you cannot say no. For me, I also had difficulty saying no. So what I do is I always keep quiet and tense up. Then I'll think about what I need to say. But it always changes. But at the same time, somehow you just need to be careful of what you need to change. And even if you do, somehow you manage your expectations, I feel. You need to manage your expectations. Different people have different opinions. They have so many ideas. You need to know what you need to take in and what you need to not let in.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really hard to say, right? It depends on
Yeah.
you as a person how far you need to flex and how far you need to stick to your guns.
Yeah, and even when you carry it out, whatever you have in your mind is just idealism, you know what I mean? or not?
Yeah.
Until it's carried out. And then when for me, when the children responded and when the teachers gave feedback, oh, it's too abstract, the children can't understand. Okay, then that's for me, for me to change. Yeah, and for me to get practical about what can actually work within a classroom. So I feel that you got to be adaptable. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sherwin, how about your business side? How often do things change?
Wow, all the time. I mean, yeah, it's cooking and it's like dealing with a life, you know. You can't control many things, even though you set many things in place to try and control it. Yeah, such as like people booking a slot and not coming up, such as like 70% of the things that you've prepared have just gone haywire after that mid-service. So like there are many things that will go wrong. And being a perfectionist, like it was a struggle for me. And I remember the first time where things really went haywire. Wow, I had a hard night sleeping after that because it really hits really hard. But I think it was then that I felt challenged to be resilient. But also it comes with the fear of like, okay, what if it happens again? And I would say that ever since that time or like the following dinners, parties after that, I had this like fear going on, but it's this fear that invites me to be resilient as well. And I told God that I want to choose to be resilient about it. And so I guess plans do fall through very easily and things changes a lot, but we are the ones who react and we can choose to react in a way that is awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So that's a good segue to the next question, right? What have these moments of difficulties that you all have faced taught you, whether it's about yourself or about the venture that you're doing or about life? What has it taught you?
I can go first. Yeah. I think it's taught me that I'm actually like resilience can be taught and that like I'm the one who is accountable for my reaction and I'm the one who's accountable in terms of like being my best self even at the worst point. I think that's one. I think the second thing that I learned also is that business is pretty fun. Like it can go up and down and it can be crazy, but I like it that way. It's pretty fun and exciting. Yeah. And I also learned that like I want to that I'm still definitely not there yet in terms of skill, and that I want to learn more and I want to gain more vocabulary, and that there's no point in rushing things. Like I want to be slow. I want to like hustle my way up slowly, and yeah. So I think that's something that I learned from this whole thing. And often in army, I just wonder that is like chefing really my thing and stuff like that. But with this experience of like doing dinner party and seeing people's reaction and like having a tiny feel of what a restaurant business would be like, I'm even more excited to have a restaurant myself to just fly one day with it. Yeah.
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 And the great thing is the good reaction you've been getting is not just from church people, right? It's from people outside of church, different walks of life. Yeah, because seriously, guys, if your customer base is just church people, right, then we're always going to be very encouraging. Oh, so great, awesome. But then that might not be the reality when you go out to work. So, okay, the rest of you, like, what stuff have you been learning through this process?
Pastor, I think the one when you said the church stuff, right? I was like, please stop buying my stuff. like I need like, so I was trying to find like outside, like people outside to yeah. But I think something that I learned is that I think I'm more practical than I think I am. Yeah.
And I think so too.
Yeah. So like I think I also like kind of learned that because I think the language that we learn is always about like yeah, I mean a part of it is good, like but like praying to God for like the prayer list. But then we don't actually do it. But then I think the important thing that I learned is like action speaks louder than words. For me, that's like a very big one. Like I would just like do it, and then even if I don't say a lot about it, but then I still like put in my effort, that kind of thing.
Well, let me pause for a moment. Tell them the $100 story.
Oh.
About what you learned about
Yes.
independence through the $100 story.
Yep. So in poly year one, right? Because my older brother, like he kind of like was starting business back then, and then they were encouraging, right? So he kind of gave me $100, and he gave me like his friend contact from Shanghai, I think, to like just like try something, like buy clothes and then sell it. But then I think I wasn't like I wasn't thinking about it. Then I wasn't very inspired, I guess. And then I just like didn't really research and then just bought, and then like I also don't know how to sell, that kind of thing. So it kind of failed that way. So like for Earthouse, right, actually my dad know about it and he wanted to like give like kind of like invest some capital, that kind of thing, like buy, like to like have more stock. But then I kind of rejected him because like I wanted to be like self-independent.
Yeah. And I think actually that's one of the most powerful decisions you made for yourself. Because I think a lot of times when things get handed to us, right, we don't realize that we're too idealistic. And then we just anyhow bang and think that there's going to be some amazing result, or even if there is a fluke. You know, and I think the thing that I think that is consistent with the four of you is you guys decided to really push yourself and not rely on your parents or not rely on somebody else to encourage you or to give you money in order to make things happen. You went out there and you earned your place in the world. And I think that's like incredibly important characteristic of if you want to go out there and succeed at adventure. Yeah. So I'm glad that happened to you. Yeah, thank God it didn't wait till it was $1,000 and it was just $100. Okay, enough. Okay, awesome. So the other thing I wanted to ask is at different points of the process, right, are there different things that motivate you and manage you to keep going? Because for me, right, for example, I love being a pastor and I know this is one of the things that I'm supposed to do in my life, whether it's communicating, educating, mentoring. I know it's what I want to do because you can pay me nothing and I will still find a way to do it. But at the same time, I don't wake up every morning and go, can't wait to jump out of bed and pastor people. You know, there are some days you get out like, oh, I have meetings, and like, oh, I have to go and talk to this person, or I have to go and deal with this. And you don't feel that way every day. So I want to know from your perspective, right, what is it that motivates you and what is it that manages you?
I think for me, setting goals, realistic goals, timelines help me. I think also having CG mates who constantly, and colleagues who ask me, hey, how's the book coming along? How's this coming along? And to me, I think my age also helps because I'm like 30 something right now. I tell myself, you know, you only have so much time. You gotta like move your butt right now. You gotta do something. You gotta be a different kind of young adult. And you gotta be you gotta be a different kind of young adult. You gotta be a different kind of member in church, you know what I mean? Like as a young adult as well. So I think that that timeline, setting goals and all that helps me. Yep.
I think for me, what motivates me the most is usually like pressure. Like pressure from customers and pressure from competitors.
It's true.
Yeah, it's very true. Like whenever like
Is that a choleric thing?
Maybe I think so. Yeah. Of course, busy like usually like when like maybe a new shop pops up, like there's a new page, then like my friends will tell me about it. Then I will like go and see like then I get inspired by them, but I also like, oh, I think I can beat them. Then I go and do more things.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Like create new strategies and everything. So I think that's for me. That what motivates me to like keep going and like push further.
Cool. Sherwin?
Yeah, I think adding on to the success thing, right? I was thinking about actually like being successful is more like painful because like once I put something out, right, and then if like a lot of people want to order, then got a lot of custom, then I got a lot of like back stock. I need to like keep making. So actually, success is like not success lah, but like having more orders is actually like harder than having no orders. Because having no orders, you just like lay there and like you don't have to do anything.
Do nothing.
So
it's true.
Yeah. So yeah. So I think sorry, what was the question? Oh my gosh!
yeah, motivation.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's just putting out there and like just needing to fulfill whatever that
Passion
I
for
put out
customers.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have certain days in the week, right, where I know my motivation level dips because I have certain rhythms and ebbs and flows, right? I will purposely schedule meetings on those days so that I have to show up for the meeting. I have to bring my brain. And that's how I keep going on the less motivated days. So I get that. As for competition, I don't know. So I look at competition, maybe I shouldn't do like everybody else can do. Like, well, how can I do it better? Then I don't look. So it depends. Yeah. Sherwin?
I think for me, one motivation I have, I think Pastor, you, or even the messages that you preach, I feel is that every time throughout the whole season, actually even my whole lifetime that I'm in church, I'm always inspired by what you say, and I felt that it's always very applicable in our life. And Pastor, you always like teach us a lot of like values and things that we can always pick up from, and how to be real with life as well. And I felt very inspired each time, especially when I was doing this venture. Pastor, you were talking a lot about being courageous, about a phase in church whereby we are like changing into de-evolution and things like that. So all this language like really inspired me, and I tell myself, wow, I just don't know how to explain it, but it resonates, and it makes me want to create something for myself, and it makes me want to push forward, even though I don't really have a specific like end goal and stuff like that. So I think, Pastor, that's one of the motivation. I think secondly is also my chef, my mentor. Like every time I'll do something or do a project, I'll send him some stuff, and then he'll in return send me some of his stuff or some of the project that he's been working on, and he's been doing some crazy stuff. So that inspires me, and we are always on this like level whereby like, okay, you have your battles in France, I have my battles in Singapore, and like we are all doing different things. But the things that we are sharing, we're happily sharing with each other information and learning from each other. He's not learning from me, but I'm learning from him. And it's like we all have this different phase, but then we're still connected, even though we're so far away. And that inspires me to want to be better. Like him.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because I think even the thing that I love about four of you is you have been a great motivation in my life too. Because I think creativity is tension and pushback, right? If there's no pushback, if there's no criticism, if there's no gap to fill or problem to solve, or a pressure to keep up, it's very hard to be creative, I find, because you're kind of this lone ranger that isn't really that. You can't really be creative on your own, I don't think so. So I find that actually, like especially Halena, I think the way Halena has gone at this writing thing has motivated me to, oh my gosh, get off your butt and start writing and start sending your work out and get it produced and stuff, instead of just like wondering about whether you're good enough or whether you have what it takes. Like you might as well get out there and hear bad feedback and improve than just sit there and do nothing. Yeah, so I just really think it's really powerful. And I think as you guys rise up too, you're going to create kind of this vortex of creativity in church where people really go for stuff. And I think it's been really amazing. Yeah. You know, why don't we give them a big round of applause? Okay. And so before I give you the message for today, right, the very short message, right, just very quickly, right, four of you, tell me, so what are you currently thinking about, and what are you thinking of doing about your business in the future?
I think for me is to publish more stories, but I think I also, because I'm taking a part-time degree in sociology, I also want to find out more about trauma storytelling, because like I said, I want to not just write stories for the sake of publishing, but also be rich enough to give. And I feel that I may not, whether I'm that kind of person who's like, humanitarian, or just, meeting the children directly, but I feel that maybe I can write stories to help the children deal with certain trauma in their life. So I think I want to learn more about trauma storytelling and do more things to educate children in a different way, like to deal with certain things that they don't have the vocabulary to speak for. Yeah, like the pictures and illustrations tell them and teach them, and it changes the world it changes who I'm writing to, basically. Yeah, not the world. Yeah, who I'm writing to.
I think that's amazing. I tell you, I really pray that you make money doing this, because I think you really deserve to. But at the same time, I also know that even if you don't make a lot of money, the potential for it to impact people overseas is going to be immense. So just really keep going at it. Yeah, cool. The three of you, where are you headed?
I just started work, so I think I'm still gonna continue loving God, loving people, and then I think something I want to work on is like really making connections. Because I always say this, like I want to make lots of like influencer friends, so that I can bring that to church, and then just like make church like really have an influence, and then make church known. So I think that's like a important part, and also I think just also wanting to grow in myself to like stop needing like to be more confident, stop needing so much affirmations from everyone, but then just like being practical and like, yeah, this is what I'm good at, and then this is something I need to work on, and just like, yeah.
For me, the long-term plan is to start the clothing line that I wanted to try in the first place, and to through that to be able to represent God in a cool way. Yeah, and also something
Get
that I
over the
have in
fear of
mind.
God person.
Fear of God, Jerry
That's your
Lorenzo.
dream, right?
That's my inspiration. And currently, I'm also thinking about how, because like I like joined my friend to like run a physical store. So I was thinking about how like I can intertwine church and like the business. And it came to my mind how like for me, like when when I'm doing customer service, or like when I'm in the shop and like attending to customers, like it really helps me to like it's good practice for me to like for socializing and for building my own confidence. So I think that was like something cool that I thought about, that maybe we can use the shop to like train out youth to have confidence in themselves and have confidence in like socializing with people.
Cool, very cool. Shall we?
I think for me it's more like, okay, so I won't be doing any more dinner parties. I think that's a venture that's yeah. So I'm actually working like full time as a chef right now. And my hopes for the future is that I'll be number one. Number one, not in terms of comparison with other chefs, but number one in terms of who God has made me to be, and to be that person who I'm called to be. And I think also my dream one day is to not just have my own restaurant, but I hope is to integrate the like God's values and system in the world in a very real setting, and to also have a 24/7 soup kitchen designed by artists, where the lights can be on, the fans can be on for people to stay at night. Yeah, that's my dream.
Cool. Very, very cool. I love it that you're all artists, but you're also very practical. Yeah, like what Zuri said, right? You're unexpectedly practical. Like, okay, let's give them a round of applause. Okay, so a very quick one. Why don't you whip out your Bibles? I'm just going to share with you a thought that I have, and I'm going to relate it back to our church, and I'm going to relate it back to you, okay? So I want to round up today by taking you to Genesis chapter 12, and Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 3. For the newer Christians, this is actually a very famous verse, okay? Every church loves to quote this when it comes to calling, because it's the calling of Abraham, the first, I guess what we call the patriarch of our faith, all right? So Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, this is the first instance where God calls Abraham, but at this point he's called Abraham. And it says here, the Lord said to Abraham, leave your land, your family, and your father's household for the land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation and will bless you. I will make your name respected and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. All the families of the earth will be blessed because of you. So whenever Christians preach about this verse, right, guys, the emphasis is always on how amazing is God's calling and promise to Abraham. But today, right, I want to draw your attention to how the promise actually starts, okay? And actually, the promise doesn't start with the, you will be blessed, and everyone who curses you will be cursed, and I'll make your name great, and you will be respected, and all the families of the world will be blessed for you. It actually starts with, leave your land, leave your family, and your father's household, for a land that I will show you, a land that you haven't seen yet. So calling is this really awesome and amazing thing. I love it, okay? Knowing what you're created to do, figuring out what you're designed to do, what you're going to do with the rest of your life. It's an incredible blessing, and I promise you, when you hear God, it will be a very captivating vision for your life. But I want to stress, now let me just again stress, right? I'm not asking all of you here to go and start your own business, okay? That may not be your calling, all right? It could be your career, it could be how you choose to use your time outside of your 9-to-5 job and work to make a difference with your gifts and your abilities. The point is, all of you has a calling in God. All of you is designed for something awesome, okay? And if you don't know what it is, go find out what it is, okay? But also realize that this wonderful promise and calling to be a blessing and to be respected and to be protected and to bless other people around you, it requires you to hustle. It requires you to leave your comfort zone. It requires sometimes for you to take risks. And that will look differently for different personalities because God knows who you are and the risks will take different forms, but there's always going to be some risk. It requires you to go on a journey, which if you've been doing your Bible reading plan or you go and read about Abraham's life, just read a couple of chapters today when you go back, you'll realize that Abraham's calling entailed hard work. It required him to change in his character as a person. He experienced a lot of setbacks. He experienced a lot of discipline from God. He experienced a lot of discouragement and rejection. So our calling is a given. Every one of us has one. But the future of that calling is not a given. It's something that you have to be in partnership with God about. And the thing I love about this calling is, I also want to remind all of you, it's more than what you do with your life. It's about who you will become. Okay, so I have a t-shirt here, right, which I don't like to wear because the material is not very comfortable and not very good with sweat. Okay, so I have this t-shirt, right, and the other reason I hate it is because I paid a bit more for it than I wanted to, even though it was on sale. Okay, and I bought it because it says eat, pray, hustle. Okay, which is a play off, if you don't know, it's a play off a famous book or movie, probably more of you will know the movie, called Eat, Pray, Love. Now let me explain to you, right? Eat, Pray, Love is this biographical book by this author named Elizabeth Gilbert, and it was written in 2006 and made into a movie, a very famous movie in 2010. Eat, Pray, Love. Now, it was a cultural phenomenon when it came out in 2010. The whole world, or rather the whole first world was talking about it, okay? Because it was a story of a woman who decided to turn her back on her life, her work, her career that was burning her out, her marriage, and chart a new path for her future. Now, listen, I have nothing against the book or the movie or the story itself. And from what I know, Elizabeth Gilbert actually is a pretty great social activist in the US, great social justice advocate. But what I hated about this movie was in 2010, it became this precursor, okay, cultural revolution, I will call it devolution. Okay, to the crazy millennial attitude, all the millennials in the room, wave your hands. Okay, this millennial idea of going off to a faraway land to focus on me and to find myself and to live my best life. Now, you know how it is, right, with anything that goes trendy in the world. Usually what happens is a philosophy gets out there in the world and the masses take what they like from it. They don't bother to understand where the philosophy came from and the heart behind it, and they get the point all wrong. Kind of like Christians and calling. Okay, so Christians go, with calling, I am highly favored by God and I am better than everyone simply because I am a Christian. Or because I'm a Christian, I am automatically right and my business is awesome. Yeah, no. So at the heart of what Elizabeth Gilbert was advocating, actually I agree a lot with it. I advocate that we're moving into a time where it's not just, burnout is not a great way to live. Having quantity in life is not the same as having quality and flourishing in life. Being successful is not to me equal to being significant in life. I do believe in you finding yourself. I believe, however, that life is not just about yourself, it's about other people. So I think what began to happen, right, 2010 onwards, is this cultural phenomenon in the world started to sweep across the millennial population. And then it changed the way how people talked about life and calling, and even how they Instagrammed. Right? So do you know, right, the reason why most of us today cafe hop, post pictures of our food, and hashtag my best life, especially that photo looking out into the sea or the sky, and then your hands are like that, and then hashtag my best life, okay? It's probably because of this movie and this book. And you know what happens when that happens in culture? Inevitably, people start bringing that culture into the church as well. And it started to change how people in church, millennials and young people talked about calling. So calling became synonymous with, eating, right? Eat good food. Live the hipster cafe hopping, travel experience life, and post it on IG. And that is how you know you are living for God. You are blessed. Hashtag blessed. Right? Then prayer became about self-reflection, inward focus on myself and what I want. Okay? Listen, that's not authentic. That is selfish. And the moment life gets stressed, they check out and say, I need to focus on me. Hashtag mom life. And then love began to be about freedom to do whatever we want, live irresponsibly, and it's okay as long as it makes me happy and I'm having fun. So when it came out, I have to admit, right, I'm one of those quite workaholic, so I hated it. Because I found the whole idea too imbalanced and too self-indulgent. Because how does a person who doesn't have means cafe hop or eat or live their best life or travel? And even if you have the means to travel and eat, then I see so many millennials, especially even in the church, going broke and in debt because they can't keep up with the cafe hopping that they're trying to post on Instagram. And at the same time though, for myself, I gotta say this, right? It was a different flip for me. I went, you know what? I need to stop being so idealistic. Whatever my calling in life is, I still need to eat. Are you here with me? So now in church, I know a lot of you, right, you love church so much. Pastor, my dream is to go full-time and to serve God. And I will tell you, yes, tell me your dreams, but my next question is, can you make a sufficient living out of your dreams? Because I don't think God is calling you to starve. I think God is calling you to be generous. And if you're always starving, how are you going to be generous? Okay, now let's talk about prayer. Is that all right? So Eat, Pray, Love is about how pray is about self-reflection and figure yourself out, right? But here's the thing about prayer in the Bible. The prayer that I know in the Bible, yes, it's there, but it's always about an us. Think about it, right? The Lord's Prayer goes, Our Father who art in heaven, our Father, not my Father. Hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Deliver us from evil. Are you here with me? So, to me, I heard this very interesting thing this week. I can't remember what I was reading. Or a podcast I was listening to, and they were talking about the mindfulness movement that we're in right now in psychology, right? And they were interviewing this monk, very famous monk, who's known to be an amazing meditator. And he's been a monk for 40 years. And he said the thing that disturbs him most about the mindfulness movement is that it's become disconnected from compassion. So he said what's happened is people have taken the Buddhist idea of mindfulness, the Christian mystic idea of mindfulness and self-reflection, whatever religion version of mindfulness and self-reflection, and they've marketed it, but they've taken compassion out of it. And so this particular business guy was saying, here's the problem with the mindfulness movement. He said, they teach assassins in terrorist group to be mindful so that they can be less nervous when they're going to blow up something. They teach insurance people, salespeople, to be mindful and control their breathing so that they can make a sale, whether it's ethical or not. And so I love that idea of what this monk said. Mindfulness cannot be disconnected from common good. prayer is always an us. We are more thoughtful and mindful so that we can, yes, solve our problems and our pain, but also so that we can solve the problems and the pain of the world around us. Okay, and finally, love. For me, love isn't the freedom to do whatever you want. Love is what makes me hustle in my calling, makes me work hard to be a great pastor. I study, I work hard, I put in a lot of effort to what I prepare, a lot of thought into what I prepare, because it's my commitment to God and my commitment to people. And it is in the hustle that I find my best self, not in the absence of the hustle. So a year back, right, when I bought this t-shirt, I bought it because I'm that way. I buy things as a reminder to myself. Because I bought it at a point of time where I said, I'm going to be ambitious about my life and calling. But remember, Shah, as you do God's call, remember that you've got to be able to eat and you've got to be able to feed other people. But also remember that God needs to stay at the center of your life. Prayer is not just about you, it's about us. And I bought it as a reminder to say, remember not to use God's call as an excuse for your own selfish ambition. Because sometimes while you're being ambitious for God, you can start becoming ambitious for yourself and not for God or for other people. And I bought it to remind myself that remember this hope that you have, that you calling, that you want to achieve, it will not come easy. You know, that you need to be doing it for more than just yourself. You got to work hard. You've got to hustle to your calling. So, to all of you here, I want to say this. God's promises for your life and future are amazing. But don't expect it to just drop into your lap. That's why we got that phrase in church. We believe in the effortful miracle. It's great to receive miracles. It's even better to partner with God for the process. Okay, so God's promise in Genesis 12 begins with the command to hustle. Leave your comfort zone. Take some risks. Some wise risks. Let me just say that in case some of you suddenly, go crazy. Learn to become independent from your past, because that's what when you leave your comfort zone, that's what you're doing, it's to be independent from your past. And to leave the household is to leave the protection of your parents' money, your parents picking up the mess after you. And to start learning how to build new friendships and to be interdependent on new communities, with new communities in your life, to bring other people around you so that you can fulfill your calling and help them fulfill their calling. And finally, I want to say this, God's promise requires you to participate fully in the process. To work hard, to find a way to stick to your values, to live for the common good of us. And that is how ambition, or rather the beginning of ambition, looks like in the Bible. Right, that's been our word for 2020, right? Rest in the beginning of ambition. So these guys over here are starting on their journeys. And I hope that many of our leaders in church, because they're not the only ones in church with ventures, okay? And many of our leaders also become an example to you guys that you can model your lives after, whatever your journey and your calling looks like, whoever God has created you to be. But understand today that if you want to live for God and you want to live a great life, to live your best life, your promised life, that this is what it takes. You need to hustle to your calling. Is that okay? You need to be able to eat. You need to understand what prayer is really about. And you need to hustle.